Okay, well, the clock is telling me it's 5, so we'll go ahead and get started. It's good to see a couple of you back. um, so I go ahead and find a comfortable way to sit. So we're going to center ourselves, ground ourselves in a self-compassion, kindness practice. So thinking of a self-compassion practice, as a way of offering some kindness towards yourself. Now, of course, you'll also be offering those statements out to others, but we're going to use it in a more of a self-focused way, a self-care kind of a way. And so just to give you a little support for doing this, research shows that a kindness meditation is, first of all, it's dose dependent. So this means that the more that you do, the more powerful the effects. And one of the key benefits of practicing this kind of a meditation or a shift in awareness is that it reduces negative emotions like anxiety and depression, and that it also increases positive emotions like happiness and joy. Also, the good intentions cultivated by kindness meditation lead to more supportive self-talk and better moods. So instead of the kind of targets that ruminating kind of self-talk, negative self-talk that that tends to really kind of pull us down the drain. So go ahead and set yourself into a nice upright seated posture, feeling the elongation of the spine with each inhalation. All the way up through the crown of the head. And then as you're exhaling with each exhalation, see if you can kind of allow the shoulders to relax back. Exhaling and gaining more of a sense of feeling grounded and anchored by your pelvis, anchored to the seat, the place where you're sitting, the support of what you're sitting on. Inhaling for space to create more space, and exhale to create a sense of connection. Having that sense of coming home. Bringing yourself inward. So the first part of the compassion practice, self-compassion practice, is just to kind of notice the state that you are in. And in particular, if you were having some difficult times at it. So maybe even you could be looking back over the last week or so and choose to work with some of your more difficult emotions. So just kind of noticing what those difficult emotions, even if it's just stress, if you just want to say kind of in a general overall way, replaying the moments of stress in your mind or any other kind of difficult emotion. And so the first part is just to acknowledge, to empathize with your experience, to recognize the pain, the suffering, the discomfort, And to say to yourself, you can even put your hand on your heart, activating more of the hormone of safety and trust, and say to yourself, this is upsetting, or that was painful, that hurt, I don't like that. Whatever language kind of seems to suit you, just acknowledging that something was hard, something was difficult, and acknowledging the pain, and also acknowledging that you have the desire to care about yourself as the experiencer of something distressing. And then you can add in another element here, the element of common humanity. Saying, reminding yourself that other people feel this way too. Other people have felt this way. Other people, I'm not alone in feeling stressed or fear, frustration, confusion. And so to remind yourself that you are not alone, you're not isolated in your discomfort. And then you can offer yourself the statements of compassion and say, may I be kind to myself in this moment, in any moment, in every moment. May I accept myself in this moment, in any moment, in every moment. May I be kind to myself in this moment, in every moment, in any moment. And may I accept myself exactly as I am in this moment, in any moment, in every moment. And may I keep learning how to give myself all the compassion and courageous action that I need. So just one more little tidbit of science to help support you in your practice is that the key to shifting your nervous system to being more apt to respond and to react with these kinds of practices that we are repeating is to repeat them, kind of even have a daily commitment that you practice these kinds of things. And the key is that they are focused on supporting the body and its natural ability to come back from stress, rather than attempting to banish or suppress stress when it arises. So keep that in mind. This isn't an attempt to like push, the stressful situations away, push the world away. It's tapping into your ability to learn and your natural resilience, and that will help you to become better at stress. So then as you're ready, you can take your palms together in front of your heart, bowing your head. And so it begins, the practice of yoga. And then as you're ready, you can release your hands and open your eyes. All right. Well, So I wanted to do, first off, before we get too comfy on the ground, is to go to, do you see how I have my chair here? So I want you to do the same thing. You're going to set a chair up with the chair facing the wall. And if you have those foam blocks, not a wooden pair, because you won't be able to hold the wooden pair up. But if you have foam blocks, yoga blocks, then if you could grab 2 of those. And then I've been putting a blanket. I was practicing this earlier. I've been using a blanket on the seat of my chair just because the edge of my chair, the edges is really, it's just a wooden chair. So if you think you might want a little extra padding. So I'm just gonna, while you're getting your chair, 2 blocks and a blanket and a wall together, I'm gonna just move the laptop. So this is kind of a merging of, let's say, downward dog and even some forward bend action. So what you're going to end up doing is sitting on the very front edge of the chair. So you have to kind of figure out how close to the wall you have to make it. I've already been kind of fancy fine-tuning mine. A few minutes ago I did it, well, about an hour ago actually. But so you want to be able to take your feet out so that the toes are going outward and your knees are going to be going out as well. They're not going to go, you don't need to make your knees go super wide, but just, you also want as the feet are touching the kind of the baseboard, the toes, the big toes are going to be on the baseboard maybe. Your knees are going to be resting on the wall. And then as you come to the wall, you can already see how it's going to be kind of like downward dog, but also kind of like a squat. But there's all kinds of tilting going on here with your lower back. Pelvis is anteriorly tilting, and you can bring the chest to the wall. The forehead can come to the wall, chin, whatever kind of works for you. And just make sure that your chair isn't going to scoot out from and away from you. And then you can just slide your arms up the wall. Now the blocks are there because you might like to actually, if you put your blocks in your hands, you might like to kind of slide your hands up. So you have to be kind of close enough to the wall with the chair, but not too close, as all things yoga. So you're sliding your hands up the wall. Hands are kind of flat on the blocks if you're going to use them. You could experiment and see if you like to use the blocks. Okay, so you can take another breath here. You can slide your block hands down the wall. Hand block. And just kind of scoot yourself back to sit on your chair just for a moment. And we'll see if we can do another one. So it's such a good opener for your lower back. It really does create a lot of space in there. And because you're kind of taking your legs out of the picture, like if you were doing a standing forward bend, you might have that same kind of an opening happening, but most of us don't have that kind of flexibility in the legs in order to be able to, encourage this to happen. So let's go ahead and do another one. I'm going to take my blocks out for this one. You could too if you wanted, or you could put them in. I'm also going to try to come closer to the wall. there's also kind of a sense of, as you're sliding your hands up the wall, and once you can kind of press your hands into the wall, that you can kind of hang from the hands. And your hands are going to kind of slide down the wall a little bit. That's okay, of course. But you can always slide them back up. All right, so you can slide your hands back down the wall. And then now let's come to the floor. So I like putting a blanket on the seat of the chair for most things, actually. But I'm going to be sitting in front of your chair, taking one leg forward, straight. One leg is straight, so I have my right leg straight, and left leg, the knee is bent. So recalling that if you need to, if your bent knee is very high up in the air, you can always prop it up with a pillow or something. And we're going to come forward first. So see if you can really encourage this rolling, kind of scooping the flesh of your own buttocks, drawing the flesh back so that it helps to get your pelvis to be tilted, to get that anterior tilting action. So very similar to what we were just doing at the wall, if not identical. So trying to keep the right foot flexed. So you're pressing out through the heel. The back of the heel is what is weighted on the floor. Toes are up in the air. All right, one more breath here. And then you can push yourself up off your chair, lean back and adjust, shift. Take the left leg now under the chair, straighten it, and then you can bend the right. And again, trying to get that action of the sit bones rolling back. And the heel of the back of the heel of the foot that's under the chair is centered. Toes are up and pointing up in the air, so you're flexing at that ankle. Breathe. Breathe and be. connecting with what feels beneficial in your practice. The why you keep coming back to your practice week after week, night after night. And why you miss it when you're gone. What is your why? All right, so take one more breath. And go ahead and push yourself up, away from your chair. Okay, so let's go back to straightening out the right leg, and this time the left knee is bent, but now we're going to twist. I'm going to add in the Viparita aspect to your Janu Shirshasana. So turning, and so yeah, if you wish, you could have your blocks to help you kind of guide yourself around your axis. So as you're de-rotating, turning away from the chair, just take a moment and pause so that you don't just revolve back around and you didn't pause to kind of reground yourself. So really allow your pelvis to drop. Have a sense of your sit bones moving back. If there's anything that doesn't feel 99.8% comfortable here, then you could find something to help with finding that comfort. Head is on top as you're rotating. And take another breath. And now spin. So as you're rotating now to face the chair, try to avoid the spiraling down action. Try to keep your spine elevated as now you're facing the chair. Oh, but now actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I got so caught up in the coming forward thing that I forgot. So go ahead and spin back. So you're de-rotating. And now you're going to arch and reach over the chair. So we need the side bending aspect. And you can take the left arm up into the air, reach up, and or over the body. You can create that arch. So if you would rather reach under the chair and perhaps rest your arm on the block, some people like to do that, that's fine too. You can get creative with this posture. If the upper shoulder gets pinched, or the neck doesn't like the arm being up in the air, then just lay it on your lap. Whatever works and helps you to become more settled. All right, so take another breath here. And now you can move in reverse. So you can even engage your pelvic floor, draw the pelvic floor elevator up into the body so that you can utilize the base of the core of the abdominal wall to help you to move, to help you to sit, come back upright. And now we're going to switch legs. Left leg can be under the chair now, and the right leg can be bent, and knee can bend. And again, you can use your blocks as props to help you twist through and around the axis that is the spine. Keep the shoulders relaxed, but the spine is lifted. You can take another breath. And then when you're ready, we're going to lean into the chair. So the left side of the body is moving toward the left leg or toward the chair, arching. All right, so take one more breath here. And you can engage the pelvic floor and then move in reverse, coming back to sit upright. Okay, then you can straighten the legs out. So then let's come down to the floor. And let's practice the threading the needle. So now we're going to start to open up the back a little bit. A little bit more than you already have. So maybe a blanket for the head, a folded blanket for the head, so that the blanket is kind of thick as a brick, thick as a yoga block, and then a block for your arm. So we kind of have been experimenting with all the variations of this, but so I'm going to return tonight. Let's try it again with being propped up. So you're going to reach through with one arm and put your head on the folded blanket. Shoulder perhaps coming to touch down on the floor. Just let your knees be a comfortable distance apart, and then take your arm up and over so it comes to rest on the yoga block. All right, so you can take your last breath here and bring the hand to the floor right in front of the face so you can push yourself up. So remember, if you have any questions or, what do we say on Thursday, need to raise an issue, by all means put on your, press your space bar. Otherwise, come on up to all fours and we'll reach under with the second side. Head to the blanket, arm comes up and over. All right, so take another breath there. And go ahead and push yourself up. So, excuse me, in the interest of comparison, go ahead and take your blanket and open it up so that you can put your knee on it. So we're going to since we're going to spend a little bit more time on the knees. And let's try the through the hole stretch. I keep calling it that, the threading the needle, without the blanket under your head. Okay, so this will be almost kind of old school. So you're going to reach under with the first side, if you can remember which side that was. Taking the shoulder to the mat. So the shoulder's on the mat now. The head is probably on the mat as well. And then if you like, you could do the same thing with the block. Take the arm over to rest on the block, or the hand can stay right on the floor in front of your face. Take a couple more breaths. And bring the hand back to the floor. Press up. So just notice what you notice as we compare. Reaching under again now with going for the second side. Okay, so take one more breath here. And bring the hand back down to the floor. Press the palm. Push yourself up. Okay. So now you can use your block again if you like. We're going to do some fish. So if you like to do fish over a block, you could go ahead and do that, or you could be, where's my bolster? Oh, it's over there. So if you would rather use a bolster, you could use your bolster. I think I'll just use my block. So again, here we're going to compare and contrast between the two possible positions for your legs in fish. So for the first one, we'll do what we kind of are more familiar with, I think most of us are anyways, is to have the legs straight out. And then you can bring your block or your bolster back into the right position so that when you drape back, it's underneath the shoulder blades. And you're going to extend your arms over. We'll bump into something. So try to press the heels out through the heels so that you're also flexing the ankles and drawing the toes towards you, especially the pinky toe sides of the feet, drawing the pinky toe sides of the feet especially towards you. And you're reaching, smiling. And then if you like, you can take your hands to the heart. Namaste, fish. Honor the fish in the sea. And then Hands straight up, arms are straightening, you're reaching up toward the ceiling. And just stay for a couple more breaths. And then you can lower your hands back down to your heart. Separate your hands and scoop your head with your hands. Raise your head up with your hands until you can see your feet. And then you can put your hands on the floor and push yourself up. Come to sit in Dandasana, seated staff pose. Take a couple breaths. All right, so now we're going to explore doing Matsandrasana or fish pose with the legs crossed in a seated position. So when you're crossing your legs here, remembering that you're trying to put the feet underneath, right underneath the knees, and you're also trying to keep your feet on the pinky side so that you're not collapsing the foot inward or outward. They're not flopping, and that the toes are pointing straight ahead. So this means that the ankles have a 90-degree angle at the front of the ankle there. You feel that? You can be taking your hands to the flesh of the buttocks, pulling that flesh back a little bit. So you're right on the front edge of the sit bones. And remember that you're going to then take yourself back over your block. So kind of eye it up. How far away does it need to be? Lower yourself down over your block. So this would be more like the classic position for fish. You could take the hands to the heart, palms together. Keep the feet flexed. Don't let your feet or your ankles flop. Reach straight up and breathe. And just notice, kind of wonder what's different here. Take another breath. And then you can take your hands back down to the heart. Separate the hands and clasp your hands around your head. Pick up your head. And then take your hands to the floor, pushing up with using the strength of your arms. Okay, awesome. All right, so you can go ahead and sit in some kind of virasana or vajrasana here. Either sitting on your heels, that would be fine. We're just going to do a couple of things for the shoulders. You can sit on your heels, or you can sit on a block. Remember, if you curl the toes under, kind of the highest, kind of really nice way of doing this is to curl the toes under, sit on your heels, and put the block on top of your Achilles tendons. And especially if you have a foam block. You could also, if you don't have a foam block and you only have wooden ones, you could use a couple blankets to sit on too, to put on top of the Achilles tendons. So I'm just going to go ahead and face you now. Okay. Hopefully you're good. So we're going to interlace the hands in front And turn the palms outward. And then take your arms up and overhead. And as you're elongating, you can open up the throat, point the chin up toward the ceiling, opening the front of the neck, which we don't tend to do much. And then if you put your head back into a more neutral position, you can let your arms drop back, if you can, behind your ears, or you could hold the elbows and drop your elbows back behind your ears. Okay, you can take your arms back down, roll the shoulders a few times. All kinds of rumbling going on back there. I don't know if you can hear that through the microphone. Sometimes I think it's so loud that you must be able to hear it. But go ahead and wrap your arms around yourself now, giving yourself that Steve Martin hug. Drop your chin down into the nook. One last breath here. And then you can open up your arms. We will revolve the wrists. Okay, so now come to the floor with the hands and go ahead and turn your hands around. So you're opening up the forearms. I know it always looks like my elbows are locked. That's just because my elbows hyperflex. So you can have your toes curled under, again, behind you or underneath you, and you could be kind of sitting back a little bit more. This is so good if you've been at your keyboard all day, like I have. All right, so then you can kind of gently lean forward a little bit so you can release your hands, and your wrists or your fingers, your hands might feel a little stiff after doing that, so just go easy. So then we can interlace the hands behind the back. So if you're someone who needs to have a belt for this, if it's difficult to clasp your hands behind your back on your own, then grab a hold of a belt. See if you can, as you are taking your arms behind you, first of all, make sure that you're not projecting your head forward. So you're just gazing straight ahead and your ears are stacked up over the shoulders, and hopefully shoulders are stacked up over your hips as well. Maybe even pinning the bottom front ribs in. That takes a lot of action. And then just see if you can kind of squeeze the shoulder blades together gently, like a little massage. Just squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. All right, one more breath. And then you can release your hands, unclasp and crawl forward. All right, so now definitely get your bolster. And let's do some child's pose. So you can go wide with the knees. You're going to drape yourself over the bolster. If you need to go higher than a bolster, that's okay. That works too. Turning your head to rest on one side of the face or the other. All right, so take one more breath here. And you can start to push up. Move your bolster off to the side and let's prepare for downward dog. Rising up when you're ready. Taking refuge. Taking refuge in the posture, even in the shape of the posture. Shape of the body. So take another breath or two. Here now. Be here now. Because it is now. It's not the past. It's not the future. It's just right now. And when you're ready, you can start to come back to your knees, to all fours. Gosh, life is so much better with a downward dog, isn't it? All right, so let's twist. Let's do a twisted child. De-rotating first. And then go ahead and spin. Spin to face the bolster. Do stop and adjust. Press your hands into the bolster. Elongate the front spine. And then you can drape yourself completely over the bolster. Don't let your thoughts hook you. Even noticing when your thinking starts to kind of insidiously creep into the foreground of your awareness, even just to say, I notice that I'm thinking. I notice that I'm having this thought. But right now, I made this appointment to breathe, to not think my needless worries, to not think of my concerns, to not add to the list of things that I need to do. Right now, I came here to this moment to do yoga. All right, so take one more breath here. You can begin to bring yourself back to an upright position. And let's practice another downward dog. Pushing up when you're ready. Finding Tadasana in the feet. And you can take your last few breaths here now. Coming back to the mat. And finding your bolster once again. To twist to the second side. De-rotating first. And spin. Just letting the body release. Just let gravity. Let be and let gravity. And so take your last couple of breaths here now. Really noticing what you notice. And you can start to press yourself on up. Okay, and once you come all the way up, you can take a blanket and we're going to practice some classic Raja Kapotasana, so some classic pigeons using a blanket and 2 blocks. Okay. So the front leg, the first leg will come over the blanket and you'll rest the side of your ankle, outer side of the ankle, outer malleoli on the blanket. And then your sit bone will also be on the blanket. Now, if you need to go up higher, that's okay too. The other night I was doing this and it was just kind of experimenting. And I left my foot on the blanket and I raised my sit bone up, and that was nice too. So you can experiment here. That's what at-home yoga is all about, you know, experimenting. And then the back foot is going to be just, straight behind you. The back leg is going to be straight behind you, but turn the toes under of the back foot. And then use your blocks to kind of prop yourself up. The blocks are going to be like your railings. So as the toes are curled under of the back foot, it gives you more of an opportunity to get the the kneecap to not be pressing into the floor, which is great. Save the synovial fluid. And the height of the blocks gives you the opportunity to really lift the sternum, lift the head, roll your shoulders back. And so I'm on the middle setting of the blocks, but you could, you know, depending on how tall you are, those of you who are who are taller, you know, you could probably also come up to the highest. And then you're just kind of, wow, that's kind of nice, isn't it, when you're not tall? Have a sense of like each of the vertebrae kind of dropping down like you're hanging. But I think I'll come back down. But it takes more strength to hold yourself up that way. But you can experiment, you know, see what works, see what seems best. But we're going to just stay in an upright Raja Kapotasana. Take another breath. And then you can kind of slide your blocks forward a little bit, squish them or scooch them forward. And then you can lean to the side. We're going to adjust and change. So we're going to bring the back leg around to the front. So hopefully you can. Now both of your sit bones are you're sitting on the blanket, yeah? Oh yeah, and look, there's the cross-legged position. And then take the leg that was in front, take it in the back. And then you can put your foot and your outer malleoli up on the blanket. Slide your back leg back. Find your railings. Curl the toes under of your back foot. Sometimes I notice it's helpful if you kind of lean forward a little bit, come closer to the floor, to curl the toes under. Kind of gives you more of an opportunity to really get the box of the toes to be square, flush with the floor. And again, decide you want to sit on another pillow, or another blanket, or a bolster, or a block for that matter. Whatever seems to work for you. So it's obviously this pigeon is not as restorative as some of the other variations, but there's all kinds of benefit happening to your sacrum, to your lower back, to the hip rotators and flexors. Just breathe. Breathe and smile. Be happy pigeons. All right, so take another breath. And then you can scooch those blocks forward again until your hands can come to the floor and you feel like you've got a little bit more support. And lean to the side, grab your back foot and bring it around to the front. Just sit on your block for a minute, or your blanket rather, for a minute. All right. So we're going to take things a little bit out of order here, but I think, yeah, let's do Setu Bandha over the bolster. I was debating there about what to have us do it over, but let's do it over the bolster. So Setu Bandha, the bridge pose. You're going to sit on the end, drape yourself over the top, scoot yourself across the top until your shoulders touch down, and then take your arms over. And then you could heel slide your heels out. If you feel any discomfort or pinching in the shoulder blade area, upper back, you could reach up toward the ceiling, one arm at a time, to kind of release anything uncomfortable there. Adjust your head so you can pick it up with your hands. Let the chin tilt down towards the throat. Close your eyes. So take one more breath here now. Slide your heels in. And as you place the feet into Tadasana position, also engage the pelvic floor and raise the hips up. Push your bolster out through your feet, and then keep your pelvic floor engaged as you lower your hips back down to the floor. And you could just kind of push your bolster away with your feet. And let's just do a couple spinal twists. So you can draw the knees in. You can kind of roll around on the back of your pelvis, drawing circles with your sacrum. And then knees in, arms out in a T, and then go ahead and twist to, I'm going to twist to my right first. Open up the arms so the palms are facing up. Gently press the back of your head into the floor and let the rib cage rotate a little bit to the left. Then you can take another breath. Engage your pelvic floor muscles and draw your legs up, your knees up, top side. And then we're going to twist to the other side, to the left. Arms out in a T, gently press the back of your head into the floor, lift the sternum, and rotate the rib cage a little bit to the right. All right, one more breath here. Engage the pelvic floor again. Draw your knees back up top side. And you could cross your legs so that you're sitting in the air in crisscross applesauce in that cross-legged position. And then grab a hold of the feet and start to rock until you can sit up. All right. I don't know why that always makes me laugh, but it does. So go ahead and set yourself up at the wall now. I'm going to do a practice some Viparita Karani with the bolster. So if you've been enjoying the more therapeutic variation of this, where we've been using the strap to hold the legs together, then go ahead and grab your strap. And if you've, also using your rolled up mat to put between your legs instead of underneath you. So if instead you could be putting a blanket out on the floor where you normally would unroll your sticky mat. So remember that you're putting the belt on over the legs all the way up to that place right above the knees. And that when you tighten the belt, it is pretty snug. And then you're taking your legs up onto the wall, putting the mat between the big toe mounds. So the big toe mounds kind of are going to hug onto the sides of your mat, but the heels are going to be apart. And so this is where you might notice you have to tighten your strap a little bit more, because you can't quite just let the feet go. They need to be a little bit snug up against your mat there, so, or otherwise the mat will fall. Trust me. It's happened to me. So there's that Tadasana. If you're even visually, you can see Tadasana in your feet right now. That the pinky sides of the feet are turning towards you, drawing down, while the big toe mounds are pressing up toward the ceiling, but also the sides of the big toe mounds, the inner big toe mounds, are pressing into your mat. And that you might also notice that internal rotation of your thighs. So you can lay your arms out stretched, draw the chin down toward the throat, close your eyelids, and just be. So you can slowly start bringing yourself back now. You can slide your feet down the wall until you can remove your mat from between your legs, bending your knees. Kind of drop your knees in towards you so you can loosen your strap. Then take it off. And then go ahead and roll to your side. Okay, so go ahead and set yourself up now for a Stonehenge. So you have a couple blocks. I'm going to put on the mat and then put your bolster over the blocks. Remember that you want your blocks to be kind of in the same place but underneath where your legs are going to be going over, so that way you don't, your hinge isn't wobbly Also have a couple of blankets so that when you do go to drape yourself over, that you're able to put these blankets over your torso, kind of in a. The purpose of them is that they're heavy. We're trying to create that weighted blanket kind of sensation over the torso to bring on sensations of safety, warmth, obviously, and trust. So you can spread the arms out so the palms are facing up. Adjust your head. Pick up the head with your hands. Bring the chin down toward the throat. And then make any other adjustments so that you can feel comfortable. So continue to let yourself settle, feeling gravity as the body softens and releases. And so I'm going to prepare myself to read you a story, but you can stay lying over Stonehenge for a little while now. So this story is a Sufi story. It's called The Story of the Sands. So a river was making its way down from a rocky top mountain toward the great sea below. Guided by a voice from within, it moved over the rocky face of the mountain toward its destiny. Suddenly, it came upon a great desert. No matter how hard the river pushed, its water was absorbed into the sand, and the journey halted. The river did not know what to do, so it continued the only way it knew, pushing and pushing and pushing. Finally, exhausted and frustrated, the river gave up. Suddenly, an overhead cloud spoke. "River, I know of your desire to reach the sea. That is your destiny, but you cannot cross the sand." "Yes, I know," said the river, and it struggled one last time against the sand before giving up. "I will help you," said the cloud. "Let yourself be absorbed into me. I will take you to your destination." But the little river resisted. It was afraid. Absorb itself into the cloud? It had never done anything else like that before. "Trust me, little river, I can help you," the cloud said. "There's nothing to fear." The little river sat for a while, exhausted. It gave one last push and then collapsed. "Okay, I will trust you," the river said. Drop by drop, the river was lifted, up, up, up through the air and into the cloud. The cloud grew heavy and dark as it absorbed the little river. Being part of the cloud, the river wasn't afraid. In fact, it felt like it was remembering something familiar and peaceful. The cloud carried the river across the great desert. And then, in a great burst of thunder and a streak of lightning, The cloud released the river into millions of little drops of water that poured down beyond the desert, and the river became itself again, rapidly moving once again toward the sea. So just allow yourself to completely surrender, not focusing on or forcing anything, or focusing on any specific result right now. So you can slowly start to let yourself come back, noticing what you're bringing back with you as you come back to enter into the rest of the world. Take some deeper breaths, wiggling your fingers and toes, preparing yourself to enter properly back into society, as Thich Nhat Hanh advised us, still advises. So then when you're ready, you can bend your knees and roll to your side. Come to sit upright. taking the palms together in front of your heart and bowing your head. And then as you're ready, remembering you already have everything that you need inside. Namaste.